So we're here today to talk about some of the challenges that we're having specifically on Wyoming and Central. And we know that this has been a problematic part of our city for a long time. We understand that. And the challenge that we're seeing is it continues just to get worse. And so when we think about, in particular, the business on which is Adams Market, which is on the northwest corner, we know there have been 7 murders there since 2020. We tried to do something about this last year, and it didn't work, and so we're going to try it again. And we are not going to give up in terms of trying to keep our community safe, trying to improve this intersection, and also making sure that we're all in this together. Businesses have a role to play, especially when you've had 7 murders right outside or on your property in the last 4 years. Secondly, we're going to detail what all has happened here, but we now have a situation where officers have actually been undercover and they have discovered narcotics inside the store. We had recent events as late as this weekend. We recovered firearms and trafficking amounts of narcotics inside the premises. And we have had some discussions with the different ownership groups, of course, but the bottom line is crime continues. And so we will continue to keep fighting crime on this property. So we're going to walk through this, and we'll tie out some of the different aspects that I've mentioned here today. But this is absolutely unacceptable, and we are not going to turn a blind eye to criminal activity. And we're also going to hold all of us accountable, first and foremost the city, but also when things are this bad, there's also accountability that needs to happen with respect to the property owner. So, to walk us through some of the details on this, we're going to hand it over to APD.
You know, one of the things, before we get started with the video, just to talk about is the fact that one of the things we consistently work on in the police department is ensuring that we never quit, that we continue to work at problems, we continue to address problems, we continue to modify our response, and we do what we can to correct the issues. A few months ago, after we learned that we had lost this issue with Adams Market in the courts, we sat and I spoke to our narcotics division and I asked them to start doing operations in the area of Pennsylvania and Central. One of the things that they did shortly after that, and it's actually a couple weeks now, that we did buy narcotics inside the location, right inside the door. And there's other parts of this investigation we still haven't divulged, but we are confident that we have recovered narcotics that were being dealt inside the store. We recovered firearms. And recently we had an officer-involved shooting, and Commander Lango will talk about all the crime that we've had occurred. But this is our commitment to ensure that we continue to work to address problem locations throughout the city. And as we start the video, you can see that a lot of the problem with this location is just, and we brought it to the owner's attention, is just the amount of foot traffic that is allowed to just linger in the area. And recently you saw that we started working on task time with the fire department to turn off fires. This is the day that officer was shot. You see the vehicle pulling in here. It's pulling into a parking lot. But you can immediately see the biggest problem that we've identified with the owners, and we've asked them to help us work it, is you just see the traffic on foot that is staying out there lingering, that is leading to the narcotics dealings and to the incidents. I think 7 homicides now at this point, carjackings. This is a suspect that shot the officer. You could just see everybody approaching car windows. The officers are starting to pull in to deal with the stolen motor vehicle. And we've gone over this video. You see that he struck the officer's car.
Turn off the car! Turn off the car! Hands up! Turn off the fucking car! Hands up!
You can see the gun comes out, he discharges it, shoots our officer. Officer Garris is still recovering. We're hoping that he comes back in the next couple weeks to a limited role with ops review. You can see him as he's trying to put a tourniquet on. Seventh homicide in 4 years at this location. Victim's vehicle was stolen, and this video is extremely alarming as you watch it. This is our victim right over here. Once again, somebody just lingering in the parking lot.
And then this gentleman's vehicle was also stolen because his keys were taken off of his person and the car was taken. That individual was arrested, I believe, like that week. So that's the end of the
Nobody
video.
attempting any aid of this individual. You know, and I think it's important, before I turn it over to command language, just to kind of talk about how this location continually impacts us. 7 homicides, an officer shot, an officer involved shooting. And like I said, the biggest problem is we've met with the owners. We've tried to see if they could work with us to get stuff done. I think we met over a month ago, and they haven't been able to meet with us at this point yet. And something needs to be done. And we will continue to work through this case. And we're hoping that we're much more successful. I think we have a stronger case this time with everything that we've put together. And I want to thank, first of all, our narcotics units for all the hard work they've put into it. I was out there New Year's Eve, the day after the officer was shot, and we literally had a police car parked out there the whole time, trying to keep the crowds from growing and individuals from loitering in the parking lot. And quite frankly, there will never, ever be enough police resources for us to do this at every single location. And hopefully we could get some resolution this time. But I'm going to turn it over to Commander Langwood, whose officers deal with this on a consistent basis. But we owe it to our officers, we owe it to the community to do everything we can to make sure that this location is not a place where our officers are going to get shot, injured, or our community members. We had 8 strong victims that have sustained gunshot wounds at the location.
Good morning, everyone. As Chief Medina stated, we had 7 murders at this location. This location has had the most murders than any other location in the Southeast Area Command. 7 in the last 4 years, all at this location. I can see through my experience as the area commander of the Southeast that this location is an anchor of crime. It's allowing the individuals on the streets, they know that they can come to this location and they can buy illicit drugs, and they can possibly steal cars, and they can commit quality of life violations. It's a well-known on the street that this is the area to go to, this is the location to go to. So that's the struggle that the officers in the Southeast Area Command that we deal with every day. Our problem response team officers and our patrol officers are at this location every day. Every watch during the day, whether if it's day shift, graveyard, or swing shift, we have resources in the Southeast Area Command going to this location, conducting that high visibility patrol to cause that disruption and dismantlement of criminal activity. Like the chief mentioned, though, we can't be there 24/7 though. We do have to respond to 911 calls and 242 cops calls for service. So unfortunately we can't be there every day. We need the cooperation of the business to help stop this criminal activity. Last year we did something different. We chose to take them to court under the nuisance abatement laws that we have in place. Working with the business owners in the area, we formed a coalition where several of the businesses gave their testimonies of how the criminal activity at Adams Market is affecting their businesses, their quality of living. And so looking at the nuisance abatement laws that we have, it's clearly, we had data and we had evidence to show that how this location is a nuisance to the community. Unfortunately, that wasn't a resolution that stopped the activity, so we had to go back to the drawing board. As far as police operations, that has not ceased. Again, our officers, your officers, are out there every day But to just kind of give context, this year alone, after New Year's, when myself and Chief Medina were personally out there on New Year's Eve, I was parked out there for several hours. We had an officer get shot. We have a homicide where a young woman loses her life. We had an additional shooting. We have stolen cars still showing up. The raid by narcotics that the mayor and the chief referenced, drugs were bought inside of this store. During the same operation, drugs were bought from vehicles that pulled up right in front. They pulled up right in front to sell drugs. That was their purpose for being there. Drugs were bought from the vehicles. Drugs were bought from inside the store. Drugs were going in and out of the locations. Our detectives working with our federal partners too, they conducted takedowns. They were able to get these individuals into custody. We ended up serving 2 additional search warrants on vehicles. We recovered 2 firearms and a good amount of narcotics, all from this operation. And this is what happens daily, despite our efforts of conducting that high visibility patrol. So we're doing an overt high visibility patrol operations, we're doing undercover operations, and the criminal activity just continues. So again, I think we're going to go back at this point because, as the chief and the mayor stated, we owe it to the community to keep the community safe. And again, like I mentioned before, working with our business stakeholders, they have to operate businesses there. They can't pick up and move. So we will continue our efforts. Our officers will continue to be out there every day until we get a sustainable resolution in place. Thank you.
Can you spell your name for us, please?
My name is Luke Languit, Languit, and I'm the Southeast Area Commander.
So we want to just close by reiterating a couple of things. Look, this is not something we really ever want to even have to look at in terms of how a city interacts with particular businesses at all. And so you see only on very, very rare occasions is the city so concerned about a specific business that we're also taking legal action to shut it down. And basically the way that our nuisance laws work is it does have to go to a judge. And so we are going to try again with the judge to make the case that this is causing extreme harm to the neighborhood. Is an accessory to all of the criminal activity that you've seen. And you can see that in all of these examples. On top of that, this is fundamentally about crime, but it's also about cost. We have had 500 calls for this location in our emergency response system. We know that this has cost us over the last 4 years at least $400,000. We know that on top of that, there's also our solid waste and overtime teams and APD response times that are not even figured into that calculation. So this is, essentially draining resources from everywhere else in our city that needs it. That is, I think, also why our entire city should care about this. This problem is getting so bad that if you're in the area, it's basically taking away from your ability to get an emergency response from the city because it's all being sucked away by Adams Market. That's why we have to stop what's going on there, and that's why we're taking legal action again in court, as well as all the law enforcement action that you've heard described here today. Okay, so with that, I'll hand it back to Rebecca.
Questions?
I have a question. Is the wholesaling drugs inside the store, is that not enough to just shut them down?
So we do have some attorneys here if you want a legal question, but look, this is what is, to me, people look to a city government, they look to a mayor, they look to a police chief, and we want to believe that we have the power to stop crime. This is also America, and there's private property, and the answer is no. We do not legally have the right to do that. We only have the right to go after the individuals involved in that particular action.
And so with that particular action then, was it an employee of the Adams Market that undercover agents bought the drugs from?
It was actually individuals, and the concerning part to us is it was individuals who were just inside the front door, who were within view of the employees. And my understanding from narcotics is as people came in, they would be hit up to purchase narcotics by these individuals just inside the door. And our detectives, our supervisors, they all feel that without a doubt that the individuals who were working inside the store were well aware of what was occurring. And that's a consistent theme we've seen, is where some of the employees are aware of the actions, and we've had employees involved in actions over the years. And that's where our concern comes, is these individuals are working in this location and they're either directly engaged or they're turning a blind eye to it.
So, and just to reiterate on this, because I think it can be sometimes challenging for even the public to understand this, but you know, everyone has rights in our country. That includes the Adams Market, and a judge already told us we cannot close it down. So we're going again with a better case, and we're hoping for a better result.
Have you filed that case yet?
It's our city attorney, Lauren Keefe.
Hi, Lauren Keefe, City Attorney. We are getting ready to file. We should be ready to file probably early next week. So we have been, after the judge, what the judge said was that there were some technical problems with our pleadings and that he had some questions about the interpretation of our ordinance. So we went back, and in the meantime, we have been trying to work with the owner rather than go to court, because as the mayor said, this is private property, and we don't lightly come in and try to remove anyone's ability to operate a business. So we've been trying to do that for the past several months. As Chief Medina said, we met with them, we had an in-person meeting with them a month ago, and we've been trying to communicate with them since, but unsuccessfully. But we are going to be ready to file sometime next week.
Okay, go ahead.
A couple of months ago, it sounded like a new owner was close to buying the property. Did that deal fall through?
No, in fact, that deal did occur. There is a new owner. The new owner was the prior lessee, the prior tenant who operated the store. So that deal is complete, but that has not resulted in any change in what's happening on the site.
Go ahead.
So it sounds like it's happening the same thing that was happening at Coronado Park with drugs and guns, and it was shut down. Now this is getting shut down. Don't you think they're going to move to another place, and will you be shutting that place down as well?
Well, I think on the surface, anytime there's a collection of crime, you can make that comparison, but I would just say that is really apples and oranges. What they have in common was criminal activity. But this is very different. This is literally trafficking drugs on a property in a store, among other things. Coronado Park was much more tied into issues around our unhoused community and challenges of them being preyed upon. This is very different. This is just a home for criminal activity.
You know, I think Mayor hits the nail on the head with the comment that this is an area where criminal activity is occurring. One of the things we want to do with some of these locations that is important is, we showed it at the beginning of the video. You see how everybody's coming together. And every time we have large groups of coming together for criminal activity, we know it's a matter of time before we have some type of homicide. We saw it at Coronado Park. We've seen it at In-N-Out. At the Adams Market. We've seen it at other locations within the city where we know that people are gathering and we have violent crime occur, whether it's on public property or private property. So our goal as a police department always is to try to thin out the amount of individuals that are gathering at a location, because we know that not as many people gathering is going to reduce crime in itself.
Yeah, we spoke to some businesses that, have vandalism, strong arm robbery, break-ins, glass being broken. What reasons exist for businesses to remain operational in the city if they no longer feel safe?
I think that's one of the things we need to be aware of, is we continually work. We ask individuals to report crime. That's one of the issues we have. Our officers every week are enforcing quality of life issues. And that's why we need to continue to work with all of our partners within the community and make sure that we're clearing up locations and that we're increasing the quality of life. And I think it's really important just to kind of differentiate between the two, because I think you're kind of talking about two different issues. Like, we're talking about Adams Market right here and the problems occurring at Adams Market, but the issues of individuals going on a private property, breaking windows, is something that we see throughout the city. There's just not here, we're also seeing it across the country. And each week we've devoted resources, every other week we've devoted resources to Central, and we've now gotten our officers where they're issuing 200 enforcement activities on average per week for individuals who are basically impacting quality of life issues or low-level misdemeanors. So Luke can talk a little bit more about what his officers are doing in the Southeast.
But Chief, so to follow up on Luis's question, they're going to move. what's the TAC plan or ideas to keep that contained so there's not gonna be another congregate area?
You know, the plan is we continue to work on Central every other week. We devote resources. We continue to issue citations within our parameters from the courts. We continue to be proactive as possible, but we also have the side that we're working with our providers to try to get resources to these individuals. And for APD, it's a balancing act. When do we, how can we enforce? How can we get people moving along? How can we break up large crowds of individuals? And that's something that our officers do on a daily basis when they have the time, that they go out and they break these crowds up. So we will continue to ensure that we try to break up crowds, that we devote resources to areas, and that our officers are enforcing misdemeanor crimes. And you know, I know there's a lot of, when you look on social media, there's a lot of individuals who falsely state that the Albuquerque Police Department does not enforce misdemeanor crimes. And that's absolutely not true. Every week our officers are issuing citations, they're issuing criminal trespass notifications, and I'll let Luke talk a little bit about what his officers do.
And real quick, just to address the businesses, because that's very important. You know, we really support our businesses, so I would urge all of our businesses to really get that relationship with their area commanders and be able to set up that communication and information sharing. The police department also has our crime prevention resources. So our crime prevention specialists, they have a great partnership with our businesses, and they can go out there and they can ensure that there's an assessment done that can help look at environmental factors to reduce crime, and that's proven successful. It's not the cure-all. You know, we still obviously have to do our operations, our proactive operations, but for the businesses, really get to know your area commanders and then take advantage of that crime prevention resource that we offer, and it's free too. So just
Sorry,
wanted to
guys,
address
we've
that.
got time for one more question. Scheduling stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, like, is it possible for an owner to responsibly run that market at that location with like all the stuff that's happened?
I think the very first thing that we need to do, and this is what we've been doing and we will continue to do, we need to make it known on the streets of Pennsylvania and Central that this location is no longer where you come to buy drugs and to deliver stolen vehicles and to commit these quality of life violations. So we need to put that out there. And we've been successful in doing things like that before. So it's just going to take a little bit of time. It's not going to be overnight. We just have to keep our foot on the gas, continue our operations. We have this long-term resolution in place. I'm optimistic that it will be effective and we'll be able to make it known that this type of activity is not going to be tolerated. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.